someone who's definitely going to read this book or maybe already has is your friend JD Vance, who obviously is now Vice President-elect JD Vance. And his book Hillbilly Elegy was, it was released, and then when it really struck like wildfire in the Beltway was when you did an interview about the book with JD Vance at the time in the American Conservative, and I know you guys have become friends since. So I just wanted to ask, as we're talking about the politics of this big question, personally, what it's been like to watch JD Vance go from kind of Silicon Valley adjacent author in Ohio to vice president-elect and somebody who is now a leader in the conservative movement, and then B, how you think, if you have any insight into how JD is grappling with some of this as well.
Yeah, JD's impossible to get in touch with these days because he's drinking from a fire hose. We've had a few little signal exchanges since his election, but I don't expect to hear from him because he's got too much on his plate. But I got to tell you, it has been just a delight. I've had tears in my eyes more than once thinking about what's happened to him and this little boy who saw things that nobody should ever have to see growing up in his broken family. But he persevered. He overcame through the love and devotion of his mama, as broken as she herself was. It comes out in the book. But through his own perseverance, through the charity and care of others, through the U.S. Marine Corps, through the love of Usha, who helped him get through Yale Law School. And look where he is now. JD is a deeply good man. I believe that and knew that from personal experience before he even thought about politics. And when he was starting to think about politics, that's when he also, for whatever reason, started to feel drawn to a formal commitment to God, to Jesus Christ, as a Catholic. I'm not a Catholic myself, but I introduced him to the young man who was his first instructor in the Catholic faith, a Dominican there in Washington. He finished his instruction in Ohio, and he invited me to be one of a handful of his friends who was there when he formally committed himself to Christ as a Catholic. And I think the reason he did that was not only from a desire for God, to know God in a deeper way, but I think he also saw a future for himself in public service. And there was something about the Catholic intellectual tradition, especially Catholic social teaching, that he sensed would give him a deep grounding in how to think about the Christian faith in a way that would enable him to be a political leader and to lead in public policy in a way to improve people's lives and to, it sounds kind of cheesy to say, to spread goodness on the earth, but that's how it is, because he knows how hard he had it. He knows how much the government can do to help people, but he also knows how little the government can do, which is one of the things that I love about his book, is he talks openly in the book about how much personal moral agency matters and strong families matter. So I tell you, I could not be happier with what's happened. And I really do believe that, God willing, this next term for Donald Trump will be seen by future historians as a prelude to the JD Vance era of American politics.
And that is to say, finally, that JD Vance is serious about his faith, that it's not some people will say it was a cynical maneuver for him to become a new right champion. But no, this is a deeply held belief system, right, Rod?
No, it really is. I mean, he really does believe it. And I think, too, and he said this, but I know it's not cynical, that everything that happened during President Trump's first term helped radicalize JD, in particular what happened to Brett Kavanaugh, his personal friend, the way the left tried to destroy Kavanaugh. And I think all of these things made JD have a deep rethink of his presuppositions about American politics and American life and where the enemies were. He began to see that, for all of his flaws, Donald Trump is right about some very big things about the way the elites affect American life. And that caused a political conversion for JD Vance. I don't think it was cynical one bit, because I myself have gone through a similar conversion about Donald Trump. I'm not a big fan of Donald Trump, but I was certainly a supporter of his, because I think he is the last political hope we have to try to turn things around. And when he chose JD Vance, I took that as a real sign that maybe it's okay now to have hope in politics again. Not ultimate hope, because for the reasons we were talking earlier, politics aren't going to save us. maybe they can do some good and not be only destructive or at best ineffective.
Rod Dreher, this book is so wonderful, to borrow a word from the title. Thank you for your time. I really appreciate it.
It was a great pleasure. Thanks so much.